Hidden in the vastness of China are places that don't appear on any tourist map. Mountains that pierce the clouds, temples clinging to cliffs that defy gravity, and lakes that shift colors as if controlled by some secret hand. Glaciers meet hot springs, ancient cities sleep beneath the water, and valleys hold stories waiting centuries to be heard. I set out searching for silence, and instead found a world that feels more like a dream than reality. Caves with their own weather systems, rice terraces carved over 1,000 years ago, and martial artists training on cliffs where a single misstep could mean death. How have these places remained hidden for so long? What whispers do the mountains carry for those willing to listen? This is not the China you think you know. It is a land between the cracks of the familiar, raw, sacred, and breathtakingly real. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why some places are kept secret and why they only reveal themselves to the right eyes. Where martial arts were born. The Wudang Mountains rise from the earth in Hubei province like a forgotten kingdom wrapped in mist. This is the cradle of Taoist martial arts, the birthplace of a tradition that has shaped Chinese culture for over 1,000 years. When you see images of ancient warriors moving through forms that look like flowing water, when you hear stories of monks who could balance on the edge of a sword, those stories began here. In 1994, UNESCO recognized what the local people had known for centuries. This place is sacred, this place is irreplaceable, and this place holds secrets that most travelers will never see. The highest summit of the Wudang Range, Tianzhu Peak, rises to an altitude of 5,189 feet, but the height is not what makes this mountain extraordinary. What makes it extraordinary is what humans built upon it. More than 30 shrines and temples cling to these cliffs, structures that seem impossible when you stand beneath them and look up. The Taoist Great Wall winds through the peaks, connecting sacred sites in a network of stone and devotion that took generations to complete. The architecture here doesn't compete with nature, it surrenders to it. Temples are built into rock faces. Pathways follow the natural contours of the mountain. Everything was designed to harmonize with the land, rather than dominate it. What most visitors don't realize is that the Wudang Mountains are still alive with practice. Martial artists still train here in the early morning hours, moving through forms that have been passed down for centuries. The mist rolls through the valleys at dawn, and if you're quiet enough, if you arrive before the crowds, you can watch something that feels less like a performance and more like a prayer. The movements are slow, the breathing is deliberate, and for a moment, standing on those ancient stones, you understand why people devoted their entire lives to this place. The most dangerous trail on earth, Mount Huashan in Shanxi province, is not for the faint of heart. Its highest peak rises to approximately 7,070 feet, but elevation is not what makes this mountain famous. What makes it famous is the trail. Narrow wooden planks bolted into sheer cliff faces. Iron chains anchored into rock that serve as your only handhold. Paths so narrow that two people cannot pass each other without one pressing flat against the stone. This is considered one of the most perilous hiking trails in the world, and every year, approximately 100,000 people come here to test themselves against it. Mount Huashan has a history stretching back over 2,000 years. It was once a hub for Taoist monasteries, a place where scholars and spiritual seekers came to escape the noise of the world and find something closer to truth. Few people know that it was originally called Western Mountain, reflecting its position among the 5 sacred peaks of China. The temples that remain on these cliffs are not museums. They are still places of worship. Incense still burns, prayers are still offered, and the monks who tend these shrines still climb the same paths that pilgrims have climbed for millennia. The combination of terrifying beauty and deep spiritual history creates an experience that is difficult to describe. Your heart pounds as you edge along planks suspended thousands of feet above the valley floor. Your hands grip the chains so tightly that your knuckles turn white. And then you reach a temple perched on a cliff so improbable that it looks like it was placed there by giants. You step inside. The incense wraps around you. And suddenly, the fear transforms into something else entirely. You understand why people risk their lives to build here. Some places are worth the danger. A lake that holds 1,000,000 years. Erhai Lake in Dali, Yunnan Province, is one of the largest freshwater lakes in China, covering an area of about 98 square miles. Its maximum depth reaches around 72 feet, creating a rich environment for nearly 100 species of fish, including many rare and endangered varieties. But what makes this lake truly remarkable is not its size or its depth. It's its age. Erhai Lake originated from an ancient water reservoir formed more than 1,000,000 years ago as a result of tectonic activity. When you stand on its shores, you're looking at water that has been collecting in this basin since before humans existed. The lake contains approximately 400 million cubic meters of water, providing a vital water source for millions of people in the surrounding region. But it also provides something less tangible. The Bai people, who have lived along these shores for generations, consider Erhai Lake sacred. Their villages dot the coastline, whitewashed buildings with gray tile roofs that have remained largely unchanged for centuries. The fishermen still go out in traditional wooden boats. The markets still sell fish that were swimming in the lake that same morning. And in the evenings, when the sun sets over, the water and the mountains turn purple in the distance, you understand why people never left. This biodiversity is not accidental. The ecosystem here has been developing for 1,000,000 years, creating relationships between species that exist nowhere else on Earth. Conservation efforts are ongoing, but the lake faces pressure from tourism and development. For now, it remains a place where you can still see what China looked like before the modern world arrived. A place where the water is clear enough to see the bottom. A place where the silence is broken only by the splash of oars and the calls of birds that have been nesting here since the Pleistocene. The birthplace of Chinese Buddhism. Tiantai Mountain in Zhejiang Province stands at an elevation of around 4,300 feet, making it one of the highest points in the province. But its true significance has nothing to do with altitude. This is the birthplace of the Tiantai school, one of the most influential Buddhist sects in Chinese history. The teachings that originated here spread across Asia, shaping the spiritual practices of millions of people across Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. When scholars talk about the history of Buddhism in East Asia, they inevitably return to this mountain. The mountain covers approximately 493 acres of mountains, valleys, and untouched forests. 8 major rivers flow through the region, fed by numerous waterfalls that cascade down cliff faces into pools so clear they look like liquid glass. The average summer temperature here is just about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, while in winter it can dip below 30 degrees. This range creates a climate that supports an extraordinary diversity of plant and animal life. But more importantly, it creates conditions perfect for meditation. The cool mountain air, the sound of falling water, the absence of noise from the outside world. What makes Tiantai Mountain unusual among China's sacred sites is how little known it remains to international tourists. The temples here are not crowded. The paths are not lined with souvenir shops. You can walk for hours through forests that feel genuinely ancient and encounter only the occasional monk or local pilgrim. This is not a place that has been packaged for consumption. This is a place that has been waiting quietly for those who are serious about finding something beyond the ordinary, the Emerald Lake that glows. Kanas Lake in Xinjiang is an S-shaped body of water covering an area of about 18 square miles. Situated at an elevation of 5,260 feet, the lake is renowned for something that photographs cannot fully capture. Its water is emerald green, not blue-green, not turquoise, emerald, a deep saturated green that seems to glow from within, especially when the sun strikes it at certain angles. Scientists attribute this to the minerals suspended in the water, but standing on the shore, science feels like an inadequate explanation. This area was shaped by glacial activity and boasts a geological history extending over 300 million years. The lake holds approximately 1.7 billion cubic meters of water, ranking it among the largest in the region. But the most fascinating phenomenon at Kanas Lake is what locals call the glowing lake. At certain times of day, when the sunlight reflects off the water at specific angles, the surface produces colors that seem supernatural. Greens shift to blues. Blues shift to silvers. The entire lake appears to be lit from beneath by some unseen source. Few people are aware that Kanas Lake was once inhabited by the ancient Khanty people. Archaeological excavations around the lake have uncovered cultural relics that date back thousands of years, tools and ornaments and fragments of daily life that suggest a civilization that thrived here long before written records began. The Khanty people are gone now, absorbed into the flow of history, but the lake remains. And sometimes, when the water glows and the mountains reflect on its surface, you can almost feel the presence of everyone who has ever stood on these shores and looked at this same impossible green. 1,000 years of rice terraces. The Longji rice terraces in Guangxi province are not a natural formation. They are a masterpiece of human determination, carved into the mountainside by hand over more than 1,000 years. The Zhuang people began building these terraces during the Yuan dynasty, and they never stopped. Generation after generation added to the work, expanding the cultivated area until it reached approximately 3,600 acres. Thousands of individual terraces now cover the hillsides in wavy patterns that follow the natural contours of the land, creating a landscape that looks like the earth itself has been sculpted by patient hands. The engineering behind the Longji terraces is remarkable even by modern standards. efforts. An advanced irrigation system channels water from mountain springs down through the terraces, ensuring that each level receives exactly the amount of moisture it needs. The system has been functioning for centuries without pumps, without electricity. Without any of the technology we take for granted. It works because it was designed to work with nature rather than against it. Water flows downhill. The terraces follow that flow. And the rice grows. In summer, when the terraces are flooded with water, they become a gigantic mirror reflecting the sky. The entire mountainside transforms into a cascade of reflected clouds and sunlight that makes photographers weep with joy. But there's something even more profound beneath the beauty. Each terrace is not merely a farming tool. It's a work of art carrying its own history and unique significance. Families know which terraces their ancestors built. Stories are passed down about the challenges of construction, about the seasons that were too dry or too wet, about the years when the harvest was abundant and the years when it wasn't. The Longji rice terraces are a cultural and natural symbol that cannot be overlooked, a monument to what humans can achieve when they think in terms of generations rather than quarters. A canyon that changes color. The Tianshan Grand Canyon in Xinjiang is one of the largest canyons in the world. Stretching approximately 24 miles through some of the most dramatic terrain on Earth. This canyon was formed around 500,000 years ago due to the erosive actions of water and wind, creating rock layers that tell the story of geological time in bands of color and texture. The deepest point reaches 1,800 feet. A vertical drop that makes the Grand Canyon of Arizona look almost modest by comparison. The canyon is home to over 200 species of rare plants and animals, some of which exist solely in this remote location. The isolation created by the canyon walls has allowed evolution to take its own path here, producing varieties of flora and fauna that have diverged from their relatives elsewhere. Scientists are still cataloging the biodiversity, still discovering species that have never been documented before. The canyon is essentially a laboratory of natural selection, a place where the forces that shape life have been working undisturbed for 500,000 years. Few people know that the colors of the rocks in this canyon change with the seasons. In spring, the variations shift from yellow to red to green, giving the canyon walls a different character depending on when you visit. The minerals in the rock respond to temperature and moisture, creating a canvas that is never quite the same twice. This combination of scale, biodiversity, and visual drama makes the Tianshan Grand Canyon a destination for those who love nature and want to see something genuinely unique. Not a replica, not a version, something that exists nowhere else on the planet. The four sacred peaks of Buddhism, Mount Wutai in Shanxi Province is one of the four sacred peaks of Buddhism in China, with a spiritual legacy lasting over 1,500 years. The mountain rises to about 10,000 feet and features 5 distinct summits, each with its own name and religious meaning. The region surrounding Mount Wutai spans roughly 60,000 acres and hosts more than 50 historic temples that continue to serve as key spiritual locations, drawing worshippers and pilgrims from across Asia. The climate here is extreme. Summer temperatures can climb up to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, while winter can see temperatures fall beneath 20 degrees. This range creates a natural landscape that shifts dramatically between seasons, from lush green meadows in summer to snowbound silence in winter. The temples remain open year-round, and there's something particularly powerful about visiting in the colder months, when the crowds thin and the mountain returns to something closer to what it must have felt like when the first monks arrived centuries ago. Few individuals are aware that Mount Wutai also shelters many uncommon animal species, including certain threatened mammals. The forests that cover the lower slopes are home to species that have been protected, perhaps inadvertently, by the sacred status of the mountain. Hunting has been forbidden here for generations. Development has been limited. The result is a refuge where wildlife has thrived even as habitats elsewhere have been destroyed. This combination of spiritual significance and ecological value makes Mount Wutai unique among China's mountains. A place where faith and nature have reinforced each other for over a millennium. The lake with a sunken city, Qiandao Lake in Zhejiang province, holds approximately 1,078 islands, many of which remain mostly untouched by development. With an overall size of around 573,000 acres, it stands as one of the largest bodies of water in China. The lake's deepest point reaches 100 feet, playing a vital role in supporting its rich range of wildlife. But the most astonishing fact about Qiandao Lake is what lies beneath the surface. This lake is man-made. It came into existence in 1959 due to the building of a dam for power production. When the dam was completed and the water began to rise, it didn't fill an empty basin. It swallowed villages. It covered farmland. And it drowned two ancient cities that had stood for over 1,000 years. One of those cities, Xicheng, dates back to the Eastern Han Dynasty, around 25 to 200 AD. Its walls, its temples, its streets, all still exist beneath the water, preserved by the cold and the darkness. Divers who have explored the sunken city report that it remains in remarkably good condition. The carvings on the stone gates are still visible. The architecture is still intact. It's as if an entire civilization simply went to sleep underwater and has been waiting there ever since. For the descendants of those who were forced to relocate, the lake is a complicated symbol. It represents progress and sacrifice, modernity and loss. But for visitors, it represents something else entirely. A hidden world, a secret history, a reminder that beneath the surface of the familiar, there are always deeper stories waiting to be discovered. The goddess of snow, Siguniang Mountain in Sichuan province, is one of the tallest peaks in China. With its highest summit reaching approximately 22,287 feet. In local culture, it is known as the Goddess of Snow. A name that captures both its physical majesty and its spiritual significance. The area surrounding the mountain spans approximately 73,000 acres and draws thousands of visitors each year who come for the powerful natural scenery and the extraordinary biodiversity. This mountain is home to rare animal species, including the giant panda and the snow leopard, making it a crucial site for conservation research. The ecosystems here range from subtropical forests at the base to permanent ice fields at the summit, creating vertical bands of habitat that support entirely different communities of plants and animals. Scientists study Siguniang Mountain as a living laboratory of altitude-dependent ecology, a place where you can observe how life adapts to extreme conditions. Siguniang Mountain was formed around 200 million years ago, serving as a testament to the intense geological activity during the mountain building process. It is also one of the most challenging destinations for climbers. Only about 3% of those who attempt to conquer the highest peak succeed. The rest turn back, defeated by altitude sickness, weather, or the sheer technical difficulty of the ascent. But even for those who never reach the summit, the mountain offers something profound. The feeling of standing in the presence of something immense, something that existed long before humans and will exist long after. Something that reminds you, in the most visceral way possible, of your own scale in the universe. Where ice meets hot springs. Hailuogou Glacier in Sichuan province is one of the glaciers least affected by climate change in China. Although its melting rate is still increasing, this glacier has a formation history of approximately 25,000 years, belonging to the last ice age and reflecting climate changes over the ages. The glacier stretches approximately 8.5 miles and has thicknesses reaching up to 984 feet in some areas, making it one of the most accessible major glaciers in the world. Temperatures at Hailuogou typically range from 18 degrees Fahrenheit in winter to 68 degrees Fahrenheit in summer, creating diverse environmental conditions that support an unusual range of life. The lower elevations are covered in forests. The middle zones transition to alpine meadows, and the upper reaches are pure ice, ancient and slow-moving, carved by forces that have been at work since the Pleistocene. But here's what makes Hailuogou truly remarkable. Few people know that this glacier is home to many natural hot springs, with water temperatures that can reach up to 176 degrees Fahrenheit. The contrast between ice and hot water creates a landscape that seems impossible. You can stand with 1 foot in snow and 1 foot in steaming water. You can watch ice calving from the glacier while bathing in pools that are almost too hot to bear. This juxtaposition of extremes is not something you can experience anywhere else on Earth. Hailuogou is not only valuable for its environmental significance, but also attracts visitors with its wondrous beauty and the strange, almost surreal contrast between natural elements. The cave, with its own weather. Zhijin Cave in Guizhou province is one of the largest caves in the world, with a total length of more than 15,000 feet. This cave was formed around 2 million years ago through the slow dissolution of limestone, and in that time, it has developed into something that feels less like a geological formation and more like an underground cathedral. The maximum depth reaches 1,412 feet, creating areas with very different air and temperature conditions. The cave essentially has its own climate, distinct from the world above. Inside the cave, visitors can admire natural wonders that took millions of years to form. Gigantic stalactites hang from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls. Stalagmites rise from the floor in columns that reach heights of up to 23 feet. The formations are so elaborate, so intricate, that they seem designed rather than natural. Flowstone cascades down walls in patterns that resemble curtains. Helictites twist in directions that defy gravity. Every chamber reveals something new, something that makes you pause and stare and try to comprehend the timescales involved. Few people know that there is also an underground river approximately 1,600 feet long within the cave. This river doesn't just provide water. It has created its own ecosystem, supporting species of blind fish and invertebrates that have evolved in complete darkness over thousands of generations. The cave is a habitat for many endemic animals that exist nowhere else on Earth. Zhijin is not just a tourist attraction. It's a window into a world that operates by different rules, a world where time moves slowly and life finds ways to persist in conditions that seem impossible. The valley, where autumn and winter coexist. Jiuzhaigou Valley in Sichuan Province stretches approximately 37 miles long and covers an area of 115,000 acres. It is home to nearly 1,000 different plant species, many of which are rare and endangered. This mountainous region was once inhabited by minority ethnic groups, including Tibetans and Qiang, whose legends about the formation of the valley carry significant cultural meanings that add layers of depth to an already extraordinary landscape. The lakes within Jiuzhaigou Valley are famous for their stunning colors, the result of minerals and algae that create shades of blue, turquoise, and yellow that seem too vivid to be real. The water is so clear that you can see the bottom even in the deepest pools. Fallen trees that sank decades ago remain visible, preserved by the cold water and the mineral content. The effect is otherworldly, like looking through a window into another dimension where the rules of color and light operate differently. But the most remarkable phenomenon at Jiuzhaigou is what locals call winter in autumn. During certain weeks of the year, the valley experiences conditions that allow visitors to witness vibrant red and orange leaves alongside ice and snow at the same time. The contrast is almost impossible to believe even when you're standing in the middle of it. Trees blaze with autumn color while snow dusts the ground beneath them. Ice forms on the edges of waterfalls while the forest burns with the colors of fall. It's a collision of seasons that creates a visual experience unlike anything else in the natural world. The natural sky gate, Tianmen Mountain in Hunan Province, features a natural arch soaring 4,000 feet high that is recognized as one of the highest sky gates in the world. This area once served as an important spiritual site for the Taoist tradition, with a history of human habitation spanning thousands of years. The arch itself was formed by water erosion over millions of years, carving a hole through the mountain that is now large enough to fly an airplane through, which people have done multiple times in some of the most spectacular stunt flying ever recorded. To reach Tianmen Mountain, visitors ride a cable car that stretches about 7,455 feet, noted as the longest cable car in the world. The journey offers views of mountains, valleys, and cliff faces that drop away beneath you into seemingly bottomless depths. At the summit, walking paths totaling around 1,500 feet in length weave through 99 bends, a number considered auspicious in Chinese culture. The paths are narrow, the drops are severe, and the views are worth every moment of vertigo. Additionally, Tianmen Mountain is famous for its glass skywalk, which spans roughly 2,500 feet and is built on the side of a sheer cliff face. The glass can support up to 660 pounds per square foot, but that knowledge doesn't make it any easier to take your first step onto transparent flooring with a 1,000-foot drop beneath your feet. The experience is designed to thrill, to challenge, to push visitors past their comfort zones and into a state of pure presence where nothing exists except the moment and the view. Tianmen Mountain is not for those who want a gentle experience. It's for those who want to feel alive. The temple floating in the clouds, Fanjingshan in Guizhou province, stands at approximately 850 feet, creating a landscape that seems to belong to another world entirely. This is the location of one of the most photographed temples in China. A Buddhist shrine perched on a knife-edge rock formation that rises from the summit like something from a fantasy novel. The temple appears to float in the clouds, accessible only by a series of steep stairs carved into the rock face. When the mist rolls in, the rock pillar seems to hover in space, disconnected from the earth below. In 2018, Fanjingshan was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognizing both its exceptional natural value and its cultural significance. The tourist park spans around 30,000 acres, offering numerous walking paths and viewpoints for visitors who want to experience the mountain without climbing to the most extreme heights. But for those who do make the ascent, the reward is a view that cannot be replicated anywhere else on Earth. Few people know that Fanjingshan hosts one of the most diverse ecosystems in China, with more than 1,600 different plant species recorded. The mountain is a habitat for many rare animals, including the endangered Chinese golden monkey, a species that exists only in a few isolated mountain ranges. The combination of spiritual significance, architectural wonder, and ecological richness makes Fanjingshan a truly remarkable destination. A place where the human impulse to reach for the divine manifests in stone steps, climbing toward a temple that touches the sky. The mountains that paint themselves. Zhangye Danxia in Gansu province is renowned for mountains formed from layers of vibrant colored rocks, shaped by geological changes beneath the surface over approximately 540 million years. The rock layers contain minerals such as iron oxide, producing colors like red, yellow, green, and gray that reflect weather conditions and sedimentation processes across different geological eras. The result is a landscape that looks like it was painted by giants, stripes and swirls of color that cover the hillsides in patterns that seem too perfect to be natural. The area spans approximately 124,800 acres, creating a rich and diverse geological ecosystem. In 2010, Zhangye Danxia was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site to promote the conservation and awareness of the region's geological significance. The formations are fragile, the colors are irreplaceable, and the landscape exists nowhere else on the planet, in quite this combination of scale and vibrancy. Beyond its breathtaking visual impact, few people know that many fossils of plants and animals have been discovered here. These fossils offer valuable insights into life millions of years ago, when the sediments that became these colorful mountains were being deposited in ancient seas and riverbeds. The Danxia landscape is not just beautiful, it's a record. A geological library containing information about Earth's history that scientists are still learning to read. For tourists, it's a place of wonder. For researchers, it's a place of discovery. For everyone, it's proof that nature is capable of artistry that exceeds anything humans have ever imagined. The colorful lake. At the roof of the world, Basongcuo Lake in Tibet is a freshwater lake located at an elevation of approximately 12,467 feet, making it one of the highest lakes in the world. This lake was formed from glacial melt with a maximum depth of around 420 feet, creating an ideal habitat for many rare species that have adapted to the extreme conditions of high-altitude life. The area surrounding the lake spans about 6,000 acres, contributing to high biodiversity despite the harsh climate. The water temperature in the lake can fluctuate between 32 degrees and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the season, which significantly impacts the ecosystem within and around the lake. The clarity of the water is extraordinary. On still days, the mountains that surround Basongcuo are reflected so perfectly on the surface that it becomes difficult to tell where reality ends and reflection begins. The effect is disorienting and beautiful in equal measure. An interesting point about Basongcuo is that it was once known as the colorful lake due to its continually changing watercolors. Throughout the day, the water shifts from green to blue to silver, responding to the angle of the sun and the conditions of the sky. Scientists have studied this phenomenon and traced it to the minerals in the water and the depth variations across the lake bed. But knowing the explanation doesn't diminish the magic. Standing on the shore of Basongcuo as the water changes color around you is an experience that feels more like witnessing something sacred than something scientific. These are the hidden places, the places that don't appear in advertisements, the places that require effort to reach and patience to understand. They are scattered across a country so vast that even after thousands of years of habitation, secrets remain. Mountains that change color, lakes that hide cities, caves with their own weather, temples that float in the clouds. They exist not as tourist attractions, but as reminders of what the Earth is capable of when given enough time and left undisturbed. I started this journey looking for silence. What I found was something far more profound. I found places that speak in languages older than human speech. Places where the land itself tells stories to anyone willing to listen. Places that will change the way you see the world if you give them the chance. The world is full of hidden places, corners of the earth that resist maps, defy logic, and challenge our understanding of what's possible. But for every secret valley revealed, countless others remain locked away, waiting for eyes sharp enough and curious enough to notice. What other wonders are out there, quietly existing beyond our reach, just beyond the edges of our knowledge? And when we finally find them, what truths will they whisper about the world and ourselves that we've never been ready to hear? The journey isn't over. It's only just begun.